hour late. Absolutely love it. It's beautiful. I'm assuming everything's good. Man, it has been a long time, 2 weeks, and then in half an hour. Man, what were you guys gonna do? We go another week without it? What's this? I got a text message? What's this channel that you watch about choosy beggars? Oh. Well, you know what? Nobody's watching me right now. I'm gonna text it. And anybody who watches this, alrighty. So, just to let you guys know, explain what's been going on. The past 2 weeks I've had family over. And I'm sorry as much as the 2 people who get on here regularly mean to me. My family is a little more important. And I didn't want to cut into that time, and I especially didn't want to with my sister, who's a lot smarter than I am, and I can't have her being right here to judge me. I just, I just can't do it. Can't do it. So, a little embarrassed, but also, I wanted to spend it with my family more than do this. I'm sorry if it's not quite what y'all wanted to hear, but it's the facts. And then the reason why half hour late today is because my brothers were playing a game on the PlayStation, and again, I didn't want to cut into the time and be like, you have to get off playing with your brothers and spending time with your family because I want to get on and do a show that nobody watches. So, that leads us to now. All 0 viewers. Might as well get into it. I like the sound of my own voice. Actually, just kidding. Hey, there's a single viewer. I actually don't like the sound of my own voice when I hear myself speak. I hate it. Absolutely despise it. Let me pull up my topics again. So this topic, little background, it happened a long time ago. The impetus for this idea, this thing that I wanted to talk about. So, there's somebody I know put a thing on Facebook that was, how do we say, it was insulting. It was insulting to a particular group of people. But it wasn't just like super outright insulting, it was kind of passive about it. It was a little passive aggressive. And it's something that kind of hits close to home, because again, as we've all discovered, I love the simple life. I love small town life. I love people who are just chill and down to earth and not looking for anything super crazy. Just relaxed and easygoing. Most people, as far as I can tell, from what I've experienced, most people want the adventure, want the excitement, want the whatever. And so this post from forever ago was this person said something to the effect of, a lot of you haven't been, have not been outside of your hometown for a long time, and it shows. Now, no matter how you spin it, that is an insult. You are saying that they're simpletons, you are saying that they're stupid, they're inexperienced, they're ignorant. It's not a good thing. And I took issue with that, and so what I responded with, and I wasn't intending to go in there and be aggressive about it. What I said was, I just quoted J.R.R. Tolkien, a quote from The Lord of the Rings, where he says, celebrating a simple life, it is no sin to celebrating a simple life, or something like that. And I love it because instantly this person goes, oh, well, I wasn't insulting anyone. Or what did this person say? I can't remember. Is essentially saying, no, I'm not insulting anybody. I'm not saying it's wrong to celebrate a simple life. I'm just saying this. I'm like, no, you are insulting people. That's what this is about. And this person just goes, well, if you interpret it, goes if you interpret it that way, or if that's how you want to see it. And I'm sorry. Interpretation is a thing. Things can be left up to interpretation. But this was not. This was an insult. It was made to incite, instigate a response. Something along the lines of a little aggression. And so that's what I did, is I called her out. I shouldn't say her. Okay, it was a girl. It was a woman. Not going to name names, but it was a woman. And I called her out. I'm like, no, this is an insult. No matter how you spin it. And then this person goes and is like, well, I'm not the one who's getting mad. You're the one who's getting mad now. And that's a strategy that I see a lot of people doing. Because, like, the next day I saw somebody in just some random comments on social media do the same thing. Say something controversial with the intent of angering people. And then as soon as somebody calls them out on it, that person then goes, oh, well, you're the one getting all mad. You're the one getting all upset. Why don't you learn to be zen like me and be relaxed and calm? You're the one who's being confrontational here. Oh my gosh, that made me so annoyed. Because it's like, look, don't pretend that you are the one here who is being reasonable and well thought out. You instigated this. You started it. You wanted a fight. And now you're getting it. Don't run up and sucker punch people in the face and then run away. That's cowardly, that's dirty, that's bad. If you want to fight, be willing to come in and fight. I will give you a fight. Just kidding. I mean, a verbal fight. But that's something... And it goes along with a thing that I've been noticing a lot lately, especially as I've come to better understand Buddhism and Zen in particular and things like that. You know, Zen is misinterpreted in a lot of ways. There's some grains of truth to how most Americans see Zen, you know, very calm, very like nothing can faze you, very focused or what have you. But it's really annoying when people kind of invoke that idea of non-aggression, that idea of don't let things bother you, after they have tried to incite something. I hate that. And by extension, I hate it when people, like this is also a while ago. I was down in the downtown of this place where I live. And there is a little coffee shop. It's really hipster feeling, like, you know how coffee shops could be. And in there was a new type of coffee or something called the Zen Leaf. And what it was coffee, and you know how they do the drawings in there? It was coffee with the drawing of a marijuana leaf in there. That annoys me. You know, normally when it comes to cultural appropriation and things, cultural appropriation is a thing, and there's actually a video I saw from Lindsay Ellis that talks a little bit about cultural appropriation. Cultural appropriation is actually a very neutral term, or at least originally it was. It just means taking or adopting things from another culture into your own. And there's good cultural appropriation, there's bad cultural appropriation. And normally because of that, and I understand that cultures just pick stuff up and they adapt things, they change things. That's just what cultures do. That's what people do. There is a line, however, and normally I don't get mad about that. Like, who cares? Who cares if a Japanese guy's walking around wearing an American flag? Or who cares if I am going around with a kimono-style cardigan? Or whatever, or since I bought a Shinobue, or, who cares? As long as it's not rude, and it's not done in malice, and it's not done in anger, and it's respectful, it's fine. That being said, I don't like the idea of somebody boiling down the intricacies and the depth of thought and the philosophy behind Zen into something as simple as marijuana. Now, this is my personal opinion. I want marijuana. I want marijuana to be legal. Hey, single other viewer. But personal opinion is, I think marijuana should be legal. It's fine. Like, I'm not gonna do it. I would never smoke it. I would never take it. It has its medical uses, whatever. And if people want to do it for recreation, just as long as they try to do it not around me because I hate the way it smells, whatever, man. You do whatever you want. But at the same time, even if it does become legal, that doesn't necessarily mean it's good. I mean, being high might make you feel good, but there are a lot of things that come with it that make you kind of not in your right mind, you know? And you can get addicted to this stuff. Hey, there's another viewer. Dang, guys. How's it going? Where was I going with this? So, even if it's legal and it's generally accepted by the public, like in the same vein that alcohol is, alcohol in general is not considered a good thing, I would say. I would consider marijuana, or like cigarettes, except cigarettes in the U.S., nobody really likes cigarettes. Like, they're bad. Even if you smoke, it's legal, but you know, that's kind of the thing. It's like, it's legal, but that doesn't mean it's good. Like adultery. Adultery, you know, cheating on your spouse is legal. It's fine. It's not good, though. I feel kind of the same way about marijuana. I want it to be legal, but I don't think it's bad, and I don't think anybody would sit there and say, like, yes, smoking marijuana is a very productive and good use of your time. I mean, I'm sure there are people out there who say that, but you get the idea. So I don't like it that somebody out there who very clearly has not done their research, doesn't understand some of the deeper, more complex parts about Zen, is now associating it with a drug. And the ignorance that is displayed in that, the lack of appreciation, the lack of respect, really irked me. And it's something that I really don't like. I don't like being contrarian just to be contrarian. That's a stupid idea. And I feel like a lot of people who like being contrarian will gravitate towards those like Eastern philosophies, those Eastern religions, just because it kind of flies in the face, just because it's not Christianity. It's not... It goes against the foundational principles upon which the Western world was built, you know? They see it as, oh, it's not what all the old people like, so therefore it's cool. It's kind of like the time when I was at Warped Tour a couple of years ago, and I'm walking around, and there are these, like, preacher missionary guys. You know, they look like they belong there. You know, they tank tops, tattoos, beards, whatever. You know, short beards or whatever. They look like they belong there. They look like metalheads and punk rockers. And they're going around and they're handing out flyers and they're preaching stuff about this pseudo-Buddhist inspired spiritualism thing that they're going on about. I remember one guy trying to hand me a flyer, and I just kind of smiled at him and looked at him like, "No, man, I'm good. I already have a copy of the Lotus Sutra." And he looked at me with a confused look, and he's like, and he goes, "I didn't think that was something you could own." And he said it in all seriousness, and I was already walking away because I didn't want to talk to him. But I'm just like, wait, so you're trying to convert me to a pseudo-Buddhist religion, and you don't even understand what a sutra is? You don't know what the Lotus Sutra, literally one of, if not the most important sutra, the most important piece of scripture in modern Buddhism. You don't even understand what that is? So, essentially what I'm getting at, I really don't like it when people take aspects of a very complex philosophical idea and boil it down to something super simple, which I guess is technically a cultural appropriation, maybe? And people do it with Christianity all the time. People who don't like Christianity, who don't understand Christianity, don't know much about it, they do that too. And it irks me just as much as when people who don't understand Buddhism do it. I'm trying to think, for example... Oh, like, this idea that, you know, Jesus preached love and acceptance and etc., etc., etc. But a lot of people like to argue that Jesus was very just permissive of everything, that Jesus would not get mad at you no matter what you did. You could do this horrible, horrible thing and Jesus would still forgive you. And in a sense, that's kind of true, but the thing is Jesus wasn't necessarily permissive. He didn't tell the woman taken in adultery, hey, don't worry, you just do whatever you want. What he told her was, go and sin no more. Don't do these bad things anymore. They're bad, don't do them. And, I mean, Jesus was all about love and acceptance, but, man, when he needed to throw down in the temple, knock some tables over, yell at some people, call them hypocrites, and vipers, and just... Man, Jesus could lay down when he needed to. So, hypocrisy, I guess, that's the thing, and that's one thing that Jesus talked about a lot. The harshest words Jesus had for anybody were hypocrites. specifically in his case, the scribes and the priests of his time, the ones who were supposed to be super holy, but were mean to the poor people and were not helpful and more concerned about making themselves look holy and look nice than they were with doing good deeds. And I think that's what annoys me more than anything is hypocrisy. And I have to take that with a grain of salt because everyone's a hypocrite to some degree. All of the standards that I have for myself, I don't keep them. All of the standards that I think everybody should follow, there are ways in which I fail. And I am a total hypocrite, and I just need to shut up and stop being so critical. But at the same time, I'm also aware that I'm a hypocrite, and even though I'm not perfect, I am still striving to be as good of a person as I can. I am still trying to keep my standards and do those things that I know I should. Oh, excuse me. Oh, that was weird. And it just irks me when people take on standards and then flagrantly just disregard them, throw them to the wind. That irks me so much. Anyway, sorry about all the coughing. I don't know what's going on. So, but anyways, kind of going back to this pseudo, the pseudo-Buddhist stuff, the pseudo-Zen. It's an argument tactic, and it's one I really don't like, because again, it's hypocritical. It's inciting a fight, and then reeling back and going, "Oh, I don't want to fight." Hey, third viewer, welcome. Thank you for joining us. I'm talking about arguing now. Which, depending on who you are, if my sister is watching this, she might be, she might not be. I'm not the best at arguing. I like to think I'm good at arguing, but then I take a step back and I analyze myself, and I'm like, When it's in the moment, I'm really not good at it. I've learned a little bit through my academic career on how to argue, how to make very specific, very well-defined points, and back them up with specific, well-defined examples. That's one thing that I wish more people understood about arguing a point. You need to be specific. I was actually talking to my brother last night till 4 in the morning, and one of the things we talked about was in communication, how a lot of people aren't specific and clear-cut with what they want to say. And the fascinating thing that I have is when writing papers for academia, arguing doesn't have to be a bad thing either. Though the word argue does have a negative connotation, hence the word debate. Indeed. And when I say the term argument, I mean it in a little bit more neutral sense. Like, I mean, you can argue something, and that doesn't necessarily mean you're fighting about it. You're getting angry. In academia, when you write a paper, you have an argument. But you're not going out and you're not calling people stupid, and you're not saying that these guys are total idiots who don't have any idea what they're talking about. So, but with the academic thing, the place I'm attending now, they are probably the highest quality. Like, all throughout most of my school career, all throughout most of my education, I've been good enough at writing that I can just vomit words on a page and get an A for it. And the place that I'm at now, when I tried doing the exact same thing, when I just vomit on a page and call it good, they looked at it and they're like, "This is word vomit, please clean it up and make it nice." So I have a lot of respect for my professors and my educators at the place I am now. And I like that they're pushing me to be a better writer. But one of the things that kind of annoyed me is, like, I would write a paper, make an argument and stuff, and have these ideas, and my ideas and my points are in there, but I'm not stating them explicitly, I'm not stating them up front, I'm not stating them as clearly as I possibly could. I'm trying to, like, weave them into it to make it a little more, not stylized, but I'm trying to weave it in there, you know? I don't want to be up front, I don't want to just hit them over the head with stuff, because I feel like these people are smart, they'll get it, they'll understand, they can read the nuances. But the thing is they don't. If you're subtle about your argument, if you're not upfront about it, even the smart people, air quotes, the smart people, the academics, even they will miss your points entirely. if you don't state it clearly, with as little room for interpretation as possible, and multiple times in your paper, they won't get it. And if the quote-unquote smart people don't get it, then the quote-unquote normal people won't either. So in communication, in arguing, in debating, you have to be specific, and you have to be clear, and you have to say it multiple times. Now again, this is going back to the hypocrisy thing. I am a hypocrite, because when I argue with people, I don't do that all the time. I fail to be as clear as I should. I fail to say it multiple times. I fail to argue from a position where, because that's the thing, is when you argue, you should argue with the attempt at understanding your, what's the word in English? Aite. Your opponent, not your opponent, but the person with whom you're arguing. You should strive for mutual understanding and conveyance of ideas. You shouldn't argue because you want to win. You shouldn't argue because you're mad and you want to make them look like an idiot. You should argue so that everybody can understand. I don't do that all of the time, which is a flaw I'm working on. I get it. I'm trying to do it. Which again goes back to something that I've said multiple times on here, I think. But one of the things, a phrase that really stood out to me that I heard somewhere, I don't remember where it was, is people want to be understood more than they want to be right. Generally, that's true. I can think of a couple of people I know who would rather be right than be understood. But generally speaking, if the person you're talking to feels like you understand them completely, you get where they're coming from, then you can disagree with them and they won't be upset. You can explain to them that just because you disagree with them, that even though you understand them and you get that is a logical conclusion, it makes sense, and they're not stupid for thinking that. As long as you can communicate that that's how you feel about them, then you can disagree with them and they won't get mad, and they're also much more open to listening to you. And if they have a flawed argument or they have a flawed view, they're much more likely to accept it and change their own viewpoint about it. Or at the very least, they will learn to accept your view and they won't be so mean about it in the future. In order to do that, though, this is a thing, I don't remember who quoted, this is another quote. I think it was some Greek philosopher, but he said, "It is the mark of an educated mind or an intelligent mind to be able to entertain a thought without accepting it." Which is something, especially when I'm getting into arguments with my mom, which I've gotten into before. My grandma, especially. A lot of people, I don't know if they can do that. Like, really, and when I say entertain a thought, I mean, like, really, like, in all areas, but, like, actually accepting it as... How do I put this? This is hard to put into words. But to really entertain a thought, to really, like, accept it without accepting it. To be like, okay, well, let me try an example. Actually, I can't think of an example. But to take an idea and think it through so thoroughly, take everything to its logical conclusion, and think about all of the counter-arguments that can be made against it, and then counter those counter-arguments, and, like, really argue for a side. And then still be able to go, but oh yeah, like Buddhism. Let's do that. So I'm a Christian, have been, as far as I can tell, always will be. And I do believe in Christianity. I believe the religion. I believe that there is only one true religion. There is one truth. I believe that Jesus Christ is the Savior, the Redeemer. I believe there is a God. I believe there is a heaven. I believe all of those things, okay? However, I love learning about Buddhism. I love learning about Taoism. I love learning about mythologies. I love learning about all sorts of things. Especially with Buddhism, though, because Buddhism is such a different mode of thought. It's so different from Christianity And in order to understand it, because I wanted to understand it, but in order to understand it, I had to learn to entertain the idea and not accept it, is the thing. Is I haven't accepted Buddhism as ultimate truth. You know, I don't believe in samsara. I don't believe that nirvana is a thing. I don't believe that, I don't believe in so many parts about Buddhism, but there are truths there. And learning and understanding the different ways of thinking, I've had to, in some ways, accept parts of Buddhism. Like, the idea, hey, number 2 viewer. Oh, I'm surprised we've been getting as many people as we have, considering that I was half an hour late. But I've learned to, like, entertain the idea about, the whole existence and non-existence, and how you can both exist and not exist at the same time. Dennis O'Neill, ahoy! Hey, Dennis! Nice to meet you. First time. I'm not sure I know who you are. But yeah. So, like, learning to entertain the idea of Buddhist thought. I'm trying to think of a specific example. It's like I was just talking about with arguing. You need to be specific. Or Zen, coming to terms with the fact that the ultimate goal of life is just to live. Now, in Christianity, the ultimate goal of life is to return to live with God, go to heaven, etc., what have you. The ultimate goal of Zen and Taoism, in a sense, is just live. Don't worry about all of those things that say you have to achieve more. Don't worry about this. Don't worry about that. Be spontaneous. Be natural. But a lot of people, in trying to understand Buddhism, what they would say, like a lot of Christians, they'd be so scared of entertaining the idea, of having their idea challenged, they would just shut it off. Be like, nope, let's not talk about this at all. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to have my mind. But I have no idea who you are either. Mr. Voiceover Man. Can't sleep and saw it posted on Reddit. Oh, shoot! Who's posting my stuff to Reddit? Well, welcome, Dennis. So what this is I just get on every week and I just talk about random stuff because I had people who were like, once upon a time, who said, hey, you have really interesting things that you talk about. Why don't you start a radio show? And I was like, well, I don't know about a radio show, but I do have a live streaming. So I just get on and talk about random things, kind of to relax. And yeah, that's kind of my goal, is maybe it's something that can help people relax, wind down, get their brain juices flowing and tire your mind out so you can go to sleep a little easier. So, yeah. Well, thanks for stopping on, Dennis. I kind of lost my place. I'm going to be ending here in about 2 minutes, so I usually try to keep this under 30 minutes. But yeah, learning to entertain an idea without accepting it. I do agree with whatever Greek philosopher. I'm pretty sure it was a Greek philosopher who said that. Yeah, it's a mark of a very intelligent person. Although now it sounds like I'm calling myself smart, and I don't want to do that. But I bring up Buddhism all the time because I love it. It's so fascinating. It's such a different mode of thinking. Like, not thinking in binaries. Thinking that a thing can be X and also Y, but also being neither X nor Y. It's kind of hard to wrap your mind around. But in trying to understand it, I do feel like I understand things. And I feel like I've learned some things that help me be happy. And although, again, I don't believe in the ultimate truths of Buddhism necessarily, like samsara and whatnot, I do still find it extraordinarily fascinating to learn. And at the very least, it does help me understand on a much deeper level people who do believe these things. Like I said, I'm super into Japanese culture, studying it, and it helps me to interpret, like, some of the anime that I watch. Seeing the Buddhist influence, the ideas that everything is impermanent, nothing lasts forever, and that in and of itself gives it meaning. I love it. I see it everywhere now. Well, shoot. I've ran out of stuff to talk. Well, that was all I'm going to talk about. Any of you guys have anything you want to go over real quick? Or you have something you want to add to it? Feel free. I'll leave it on for the next couple of minutes because I'm sure there's a little bit of of, what is it? Not input lag. There's lag, probably. I'll delete this. What are our parameters on this? I mean, I want to keep things chill. I call this chill talk. I want it to have really interesting discussions. I want to understand a little bit more what people think and why they think the way they do. But I also do kind of want to keep it, like, something that you can turn on and you can show anybody and they won't be... You know, I don't want things to be... I want to explore different ideas, but I don't want things to be offensive, which is kind of hard because it's hard to define what's offensive and what's not. Everything's offensive to somebody in some way, shape, or form. But, you know, I don't really know. Thing, I never really thought about it. Again, kind of if I'm going to connect it to Zen, I just kind of did it. Yeah, just be chill about it. I don't want any fighting, don't want anything like that, but if you have an idea you want to go over real quick, or if anything I said has jogged any ideas, I mean, if it helps you go to sleep, if you got an idea that's keeping you up, yeah, see if we can't go over it a little bit. Kotomi Lumine? My goodness. Where are all these people coming from? How nice to meet ya. Man, I don't know. It's kind of a crying shame because normally this is about the time where I end these things. But now we've got 2 new viewers on here who, as far as I can tell, it's their first time. So just to get you in on the loop, Kotomi. So what I do every week is I get on here and I just talk about random things that I've been thinking about over the week, and I like this game. I love this game too, and maybe one of these times I'll talk about some of the reasons why I like this game. It's so good, but unfortunately, for better or worse, I'm not actually playing a game. I mean, I've played it multiple times. I've gotten many people to play it as well, but it's just so relaxed and laid back. And I love just riding around on the horse and seeing, especially in this remade version where everything is so pretty. So this is just an avenue for me to express random ideas and talk about things that I've been thinking about over the week. And I've had people in the past tell me that I'm a very interesting person, and well, I'm sure you can argue that, and some people wouldn't find me as interesting. I thought, hey, what the heck, why not? Why don't I get on here and just put my ideas out there, and if people like it, they like it, and if they don't, well, whatever. It's kind of nice to get on somewhere and just talk about random things. Get some stuff out of my system. Although if I do run into any shinies, any of those little collectibles in this remake version, I definitely try to pick those up. But yeah, so I mean, again, it's a shame that you guys came on, because normally I try to keep these under half an hour. They do become full-on videos once I end them. Usually it takes a while before it shows up on my channel. But if you guys want to go over some of the things that I'm talking about, the goal here is just kind of for me to express, I mean, I mentioned it, just to express some ideas, but also to help people, maybe get people thinking a little bit about, essentially, communication, about different ideas, exploring new things, and just kind of chilling, relax. I'm hoping that this is something you can throw on in the background while you're doing whatever, if you just need some throwaway content while you're, like, washing dishes or doing laundry or something or whatever. But anyway, I think I am going to end this here now. And I very much appreciate you guys for hopping on. We got some new faces. If you guys want to stop by, you can look at my other videos. They're on here. I do some other random game things every now and then. But generally, this is what I do every week at 9 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time on Sundays. But yeah, if you guys want to look at the other videos, feel free. And if you guys want to meet me back here next week, I'd be more than happy. And if you guys want to be in the comments and be a part of the conversation, feel free to do that too. Anyways, I will catch y'all later. And yeah, have a good one.